Hello, swellheads. I've been warning you for some time about how the sleeper cells could get activated here in the United States. And that was a primary theme, at least in the first 30 minutes or so of my previous video that I did last night or wee hours of this morning, however you want to look at it. Of course, it's wee hours of the morning again. But guys, it's more than that. It's worse than that, and it's going to get a whole lot worse from the looks of things, from the way it appears. I like for somebody just to explain to me how everything that's in place right now, all the wheels that are turning, are going to roll backwards. How it is that we're not going to wind up in a worse situation. My friends, here's the deal. We got sleeper cells in this country, but it's not just going to be sleeper cells because of all the tension, because of all the fervor that's being kicked up right now, all the emotion, all the hatred that's being stoked. There will also be individuals, rogue individuals, who will go out and take action. This is why you need to be prepared. This is why you've got to be aware more than ever. We'll talk about this. You've got to be on your total awareness. You got to be eyes wide open, head on a swivel like never before in your life, because it can be starting anytime right here. The kind of stuff we're seeing in Israel can be right here. But the kind of stuff we're seeing in Israel is going to escalate, because there's been great atrocities committed. Now, I'm not taking sides, guys, but let me tell you something. When people go in and they're taking out little ones, and when they're willing to show taking out people live on TV, that's heinous. That's evil. But the response, the retribution, can also be heinous and evil. Retribution is just wrong any way you shape it. Justice is what should be called for when things are wrong. Maybe some people feel they can't get justice, but my friends, taking it out on the little ones is not the way to do it. It is no way to proceed. War should be men fighting men. Excuse me, ladies, but that's the way it ought to be. Or at least soldiers fighting soldiers at the very least. Governments maybe, but not civilians, not children, not old people. But unfortunately, there's always collateral damage. But when they're the targets, that is heinous. Tell me, please, I'd like for somebody to tell me why you think that's justified. If you think that, why is it justified to go after little ones? Can anybody explain that and justify it? That just makes me, that gets the emotions up. This is the kind of thing that, is this done on purpose? Hamas, excuse me. Hummus is something you eat. It's good. It comes from the same region. I love it. But Hamas is, they're acting a whole lot like ISIL or ISIS, what do you call them? ISIS. And that's not justified. But what Israel's doing in Gaza is also highly questionable. But this is what's going to happen when emotions get this high. You're going to get retribution, and then you're going to get counter retribution, and it's just going to escalate. And as Israel, Iran's already won. They got what they wanted. Iran split the deal that was budding between Israel and Saudi Arabia to counter Iran. That's what Iran's objective was. If they were in this, if they had a hand in it, Hamas, excuse me, and Hezbollah have both said that Iran sponsored them and brought this about. But Iran's denied it now. They've denied it. Can you take them at their word? Their Western sources are pointing fingers at them, including the French president. I call him Macaroni. He's also pointed his finger over there. Are they right? Could be. Who had the most to gain from this? That's ultimately what you have to ask. Iran had a lot to gain from this, but Russia's also had something to gain, and maybe they had their finger in it too, because they were meeting with Hamas prior to this, and they, you got some of the tension off them. Some of the stuff that might have been going to Ukraine might go to Israel now, or maybe we just give up more of our means to defend ourselves. But you need to be able to defend yourself, because this could be in the streets here. If you really watch the video, and some of you didn't watch it probably because maybe that video was too long last night. I've had a lot of people chirping at me, a lot of my coffee club morning viewers who like to watch a video while they're getting ready for work. Well, 2 hours is too long for that. But we did have a lot to cover, so we'll try to make it shorter tonight. So I'm not going to go into every detail tonight like usual. I'm going to show some articles. But the key thing is we've had a lot of people crossing our border, and a lot of them aren't our friends, my friends. They're just not our friends. Now, there's a lot of people who've come across who are hunting better at economic opportunity, or maybe to get away from oppression. But 90% of the people that come across did not seek asylum. They did not file for asylum. So I covered that last night. I covered that in quite a bit of detail. So if you didn't watch last night's video because you thought it was too long, just watch the first, 20, 30 minutes of it, maybe 40 minutes till the point I get through that stuff. I might touch on it lightly tonight. I'm going to show a couple of other articles I didn't show that kind of reinforce that. But guys, here's the thing. When it starts going down here, they're not going to be wearing military uniforms. They're not going to be, well, they might in some cases, but it's highly doubtful. They're not going to, unless they come across as cartel members from the drug cartels, which have armored vehicles, but there were civilian vehicles that were armored. Those are pretty obvious. But a lot are going to be driving pickup trucks and SUVs and motorcycles. What did they go into Israel with? People coming in on paragliders. I kind of laughed at it when I first saw it. So, well, shoot, they can be shot down easy. What are they going in on paraglider for? Oh, yeah. In Israel, the individuals there don't carry nugs, only 2% of them. So they didn't have much to worry about. They went in like that to a music festival, Whole scores of them in the air coming in, paragliders. Wasn't just they had the engines on them, to a music festival, and launched out on civilians. That festival was a target. Communities were targeted. Individuals, families were targeted. You can expect to see that kind of activity right here as it becomes a matter of emotion, as it becomes a matter of fervor that's cooking, the angers, the hatreds that are cooking. I've often appealed to you guys to go out and try to tamp down anger in the world, the hatred if you can, because I know how dangerous that is. It's a weapon in and of itself. It's a way to weaponize people, is to stir up their emotions. Well, it's happened. It's there. It's burning. The flames are fanning. So we can expect that to have huge repercussions all around the world, all our Western societies, particularly here in the United States. Because what have I said before? I've said, while the Ayatollah talks about how Israel would be eradicated, obliterated, they never refer to Israel as the great Satan. It's always America. We're in, and to them that also includes anybody allied with us, supposedly, I would imagine. So watch out. Things can get really bad, really ugly, really fast. See how fast that happened there? With just a blink of an eye, suddenly it was on, and they made huge penetrations into Israel. And the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, are still trying to get some of those guys out that made great gains into Israeli territory. And now they've amassed 300,000 troops on the Gazan border. They have been leveling buildings there and are about to move in. And they are also, the UN has accused both sides of committing war crimes. This is not pretty. Now, in Israel, after they've been hit the way they are, you can imagine that they would go in and counterstrike. I mean, how would they not, given the way that the fans have been flamed on their end? You see what it is? It's a feud. What did I say about feuds? One side does something, the next side does something, the next side does something, and start with a pig, maybe, in the Hatfield McCoy case, and just escalate until scores of people are non-existent. In this case, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe the whole world. Because the whole world is rushing to the Mideast right now. We've got an aircraft, the biggest, newest, most powerful aircraft carrier, the most powerful warship ever devised and built by mankind is almost there. In fact, it's already in the theater. And we're talking about sending a second one. Supposedly we're just supplying ammo. But, we are getting our special forces ready to go in to Gaza is hostage rescues. Now, I can understand doing a hostage rescue mission, but how's that going to look on the other side? American boots on the ground? Do you think that that's going to be taken well? Probably not. I thought I was getting sent to a hostage rescue mission back in the late 70s, 79, 80, somewhere along. Yeah, I guess it was probably 80. Yeah, it was 1980, I believe, when the Iranian hostage, I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And we had taken our shots. We'd packed everything up on the tarmac at Pope Air Force Base, and we were told we were going. Well, they changed the plans. They downscoped it. So I didn't wind up going over there, but that was a fiasco. I talked about that in more detail in my other video. I can talk about that in more detail in the future, but we'll move on here for the night. The whole thing is the flames are being fanned. The whole world is going into this. So there's been a lot of charges and counter charges. Israel had said that if Hezbollah, which is more directly funded by Iran, is one of their proxies, and this has been admitted by Iranian news sources, by the way, that their proxies will take action. I can show it to you straight from an Iranian news site, in fact, written by an Iranian author. So, this isn't stuff Greg Allison is inventing and pulling out of thin air. They have, Israel has said that if Hezbollah attacked them in the northern side, that they would level Damascus, go after King Assad over there in Damascus. Well, that's kind of biblical, isn't it? Damascus getting leveled. But how's that going to fly in the Arab world? How is the operations that's about to go down in the Muslim world, I should say? How is that going to go down in the Muslim world, what they're about to do in Gaza, what they're starting, what they're already doing? It's not. We've already seen that the Taliban, who, thanks to Joe B, are very well equipped, have said that if Jordan and Iraq would give them passage, they'll go in and get involved. They want to go in and help the Palestinians and Gaza, the Gazans. Well, they won't give them. Well, Iraq has already taken sides, not on the side of the United States, despite, we changing the government. The government they've got there is very pro-Iranian. It's a Shia government. But this may erase the divisions between Sunni and Shia. The populace in the Arab Muslim countries, let me rephrase that, are up in arms and they're demanding action of their government. So we're seeing in Turkey, for example, Turkey's a NATO nation, but Turkey may switch sides over this. This may bring in this Gog-Magog between Russia and Turkey. They may be on the same side again here. And in fact, I said maybe. I don't know, guys. But here's another thing. If we hit Damascus, Russia's a huge ally with Syria. That's why they put their forces in there, just to keep us from taking Assad out, because they have a little naval base there on the Mediterranean Sea. And Russia and Syria are tight. Russia is the reason that we did not take out Assad. Why was all this emphasis on taking out Assad? It was probably to weaken the left flank that Israel would have to face if they ever hit Iran. So they wouldn't face, things like Hezbollah the way they're facing it, or at least damp down there so they wouldn't have the full force of the Syrian military coming in on them, which the Syrian military, after all, the war is very much more weakened, but Russia may chime in. Yeah, this is looking a lot like the last book of the good book, if you know what I mean. Guys, we're in serious times. This is worldwide. People all over the world are chiming in here. So who's involved in the fighting already? Well, Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, Israel, more countries, and we may be on the verge of it. Iran might be drawn into it. I mean, from the Iranian side, if they probably knew that Israel would have to hit back into Gaza, and if Israel hit back into Gaza, the whole Muslim world would be up in arms, and that would pretty much enable a lot of countries to have their justification to hit Israel. And so, it's almost like all this was set in stone long ago. Kind of reminds me of a letter a certain general wrote in 1871. kind of rhymes with it. I don't know, guys. Some people say, oh no, that letter never existed. And they get, there's a Chilean bishop who wrote about that, said it was in a museum in England, and suddenly the letter disappeared. But what the contents he wrote about included WW2 and how all that would go down, how Israel would get created, and how it would be used to foment WW this. I don't know. Maybe it was all fiction, but holy walking smoke-a-moly. Wow, we seem to be following that pathway. Is it coincidence or something more? Well, I'm on a platform where you just don't talk about that. I'm just asking questions. But guys, this is getting out of hand in a hurry. Out of hand in a very big hurry. Look, we got 2 aircraft carriers going in, one already going there, another may be coming. We've got aircraft carrier up close to the Baltic Sea region to watch after Russia. We got 2 aircraft carriers in the vicinity of North Korea and China. And we got 2 aircraft carriers in the vicinity of the Persian Gulf. All our aircraft carriers are at the hot spots, at least all of them that are immediately active. We've got 11, that's 6. What's this other one coming in? I bet it's going to be one that's been inactive. So we'll probably have 7 active all at once. That's practically unheard of. So I don't know what aircraft carrier they're sending. I have not seen that or which one they're considering sending in the service. But I have a hard time they're going to pull any of the other ones out from where they're at. Just given the heat, what's going down, all the tension out there right now. But it's like everybody's rushing to the Mideast right now. So yeah, I'm going to hit the chat room here. I'm going to open it up, but I'm going to show some articles. We're not going to go as long tonight. I just want to see what you guys are saying in here. Like I said, we will go shorter. I really debated where to go live tonight, and I thought about just doing the video with just a couple articles to talk about, but there's just so much going down, guys. There's so much going on. And I really was afraid that a lot of people had not seen my message last night because that video was so long. So I'm going to keep this one shorter so that the coffee club guys in the morning hopefully will be more enticed to get that message that there is a big threat right here at home from sleeper cells and the like. So I just want you guys to know that, to understand that, and to share this, and that you need means of self-defense. What you needs to be as good as what the guys are coming at you with. And what they're coming at you with, though, is more than the law allows. When you're outlaws, you don't follow the law. Fortunately, we're better off than Israel in that regard in this country so far. A lot of people want to take that away. The same people that let all these guys cross the border in the South want to take your means of defending yourself away. Well, they also want to shut down the police and all that stuff. Is that lovely? What is that? Yeah. This is, guys, I think it's nuts. I think we're in a crazy situation. All right, we're at 241 in the house, only 96 thumbs up. Let's see some more of those. Yeah, I need it to help me with the algorithm that has no rhythm, if you know what I mean. So, guys, get ready. But like I said, you need to look out. You need to be on your wares everywhere you go now. At home, when you travel. If you've got a permit or a place that permits you to carry without a permit, why would you not? At this point in time, don't go crazy. Don't do anything illegal. Don't start anything, for Pete's sake. We're not here to be the problem. At least I hope not. We're here to be a solution. I always tell you to try to apply love to the world to tamp down the hatred. The hatred is the problem, but it's a tool of evil. Just think about, that's one thing that, was kind of interested in the Star Wars trilogy, at least the first 3. How they would try to turn people to the dark force was to incite hatred within them, to incite that hatred. Now, Star Wars was probably all, actually from the dark side itself. But it did ring a little close, even the best lie is built around a cylinder of truth with just a little spin on it, to throw you off. But this whole thing of how evil takes people, well, it either gets people hooked on things that is bad for them and messes up their mind, or it brings out the worst desires within us. But the most powerful tool it has is hatred. Hatred motivates people to do evil, heinous things. And, that's part of what's happening. You take up 2,300,000 people and you pack them like sardines in a little open air concentration camp, and they're going to be somewhat less than absolutely blissful about it. And a lot of people have been, inciting them and inciting the other side, and inciting everybody else in the world. But when a war develops that's on religious grounds, that's where the emotions really get flamed up, because you're drawing from the core beliefs, the core identity of who people are. Nationalism is part of it too, but religion more so. The most powerful motivators also include how people identify, what people identify with. I'm this, I'm that. Football teams use that. That's how they get their popularity, name branding, and sell tons of T-shirts and all kind of momentums. People identify with things that's local to them. People have those identification factors. Those are huge marketing assets to any branding, but also it's a huge asset to nationalism and religions and other things like that. Now, I'm not anti-nationalism by any stretch of the matter, because I'm not a big fan of globalism, if you know what I mean. I am no fan of the House of Klaus by any stretch of the imagination. No. That's why I started Freedom Restoration Foundation, freedomrestorationfoundation.org, and pay for it out of my own pocket, guys. It's because we have these concerns. It's because we need liberty. It's because we need our freedoms. But what happens, when you get a war like this is a tool that people that don't like those things can use to take them from you. That's another thing to be on the awares about. And never mind, though, we didn't suspend the Constitution. We didn't suspend our liberties when the British came over here in the War of 1812, did we? Now, Lincoln did instigate martial law and the War of Northern Aggression, but still the Constitution prevailed. Elections were held. What will happen now if this cranks up? What's going to happen? What happens next? Where does this go? Well, if we have huge acts occurring here in the United States, like what's going on in Israel, and they're all over the place, they might suspend elections. Well, we can't have polling. We can't people gathering at poll places. They'll be targeted, and maybe they would. But you see what I'm saying, guys? Maybe they want everything by absentee ballot. We know how well that went. Anyway, guys, so we're in a pickle. The origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. Yes, and it's hatred. Hatred is evil in and of itself. Evil begets evil. If you let people give into it, but that's what happens when people get attacked, especially along lines of things they identify with, along lines of their religion. That's why I try not to take sides on things or take sides in religion, because to those that want to diminish us, to those that want to create that big overall power to take things over, the power of the dark side of the force. For those that want that, the power of the dark side of the force, they want to divide us. They want us fighting each other, because that gives them the tools they need. Don't give in to it if you can all avoid it, but you still got to defend yourself. So I'm advocating peace. I'm advocating that we don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything heinous. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's what my dad always taught me. Two wrongs never make a right. But that's where we're at today. It's what you call retribution. And that's being fanned right now. And it's going to have bad ramifications. And like I said, I expect that to start hitting right here, especially as the United States gets involved over there. Now, we got hostages over there. How do you not go in and try to free the hostages? I can't say that at all. But get your immune systems built up, says Harnick Farms. Yes. Vitamin D3, vitamin K2. Oh, yeah, I like this C60. It's a little pricey, but if you go to shopc60.com and put in the code GreenGregs10, you get 10% off. That'll help. And this is the most powerful antioxidant that we know of. It's good stuff. But anyway, get your immune systems up. But anyway, all that said, yes, you're right, Vicky. It says without, any limitations, but the powers that want to tamp us down and take our freedom and take our rights, they don't care about that kind of stuff. In fact, they're against it. And they come up with all kinds of excuses to perpetrate what they want. But what's that do for us when we got that freedom? It enables us to protect ourselves so that we don't get overrun by a bunch of guys on paragliders coming in. You wouldn't come in on paragliders against a hunting festival now, would you? No, you wouldn't get very far in the United States like that. Now, it doesn't say they wouldn't have their own ways of getting around and doing things. But this is why you need to be aware. What do you need to watch out? You need to watch out for people that are acting erratically, for people that appear to be emotional, for people that seem to be steaming, that seem to be mad. You need to be on your wares. The best thing you can do is get away from them, evade them. Even if you're the best in the West with a spit wad shooter, there may be too many of them. You could be overpowered. And it's just not worth it if you can avoid it. Sometimes you don't have the option. That's why you got to be able to defend yourself, be able to defend your family. Be able, and the country's got to be able to defend itself. The best way for peace is to have a strong country that nobody wants to pick on, to be the strongest, the biggest, the mightiest. We used to believe in that once upon a time. Somehow we let that go. Now look where we're at. When you try to appease everybody that hates you, what do you get? You're enabling them. That's all. That's pretty obvious, but what's gone down here in the last 2 or 3 years, right? If you think appeasement is the answer, type 1. If you think that we need to be strong, type 2. Yeah, Larry, I've heard that for people over 60, the potassium iodine is not a good deal. So thank you for that, Larry. All right. I went down the rabbit hole. Yeah, it's easy to get down rabbit holes these days. So Chamberlain, Chamberlain. Look where it got England. I don't see a lot of people voting for appeasement here or weakness. You can't be weak. What's weakness by you? Where are we at today? 2.5. All right, Danny, 2.5. Yeah, where does appeasement get you? Nowhere in the world today. But our foreign policy has been awful. Our State Department's been awful. They've done about everything wrong you could imagine. Our 3-letter agencies all should be fired. They're more interested in you because you might be terrible than all the folks they've allowed to come across our borders. Peace in our time. Well, it may be after all this blows over and the Lord comes back, right? Till then, I don't know. And we can hope for peace, pray for peace, and do our piece for peace. I believe that the onus is upon us to do that. Hey, Choctaw two sticks, thank you. Faith, family, and freedom. Amen. Choctaw 26, thank you for the super chat and the message. You're exactly right. Yeah, faith, family, and freedom. Those all matter. Those are important. And we've lost sight of that in our country, in part thanks to our news media and the school systems. Pop culture. Idiocy on parade. There's always a better solution than war. You're right, awful waffle. But it looks like we're running toward that as fast as we can go. Why? It seems like correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like there are those that want that. If you think there's some people that you think that the folks in charge want war, vote 3. If you think they don't want war, vote 4. Let's see how you vote on that. If you think they're gunning for war, put a 3 in. If you think that they want peace and what's best in our interest, let's put a 4 in. Let's see what you think about that. Yeah, guys, but seriously, you need to be able to protect yourself every way you can. And having the smallest straw for your spit wad shooter might not be the best way. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't see a lot of faith and confidence in our fearless leaders. So maybe Daryl, 2 + 2. Daryl seems to have faith in our leaders. I don't know, guys. Prep. You better prep like there's no tomorrow, because there may not be. What I told you last time, I had an inside source that told me that they're not going to wait for, America to hit Iran, that they already got plans to hit us, just like Hamas did in Israel. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm not saying that's what it is. And if it is what it is, we can all pray that that goes awry and doesn't come to pass. But it does ring, if you know what I mean. There's a ring to it. I was told we had to be very careful in our holidays in November, December. That'd be Thanksgiving and Christmas. And Christmas being our religious holiday might be more likely if that's to come to pass. Now, I'm not saying that'll happen. I hope and pray it don't. But what I'm telling you is, what are we here? We're a prepping channel. We're here to, well, we started out to be a gardening channel. Well, what's gardening? That's prepping. That's really why I started gardening, guys. To get ready, to be able to take care of myself, to be able to produce for myself. I also covered a lot of wild edibles. It may get so bad that we have to go out. What's it talk about in the Bible? It talks about going to the mountains. Does it not? Does not the Bible advise that you got to head to the hills when it gets real bad? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Well, what's that all about? Maybe it's too bad to be in your homes and communities. You got to go out and fend for yourself in the wilderness. In that case, you need some survival skills. And one of them is wild edibles. I've shown a lot of wild edibles. Hey, Rodney Middleton. I just read on my news down here that there are 12,000 dual Israeli Australian citizens in Israel, and our government is calling on both Qantas and Virgin Airways to fly anyone of these out of Israel. Yeah, and Joe Biden was telling our people to get their own flights after the flights got shut down, while Brazil was scheduling flights. I may have to show some of these articles briefly again. Yeah. Hey, Rodney is the guy who sent me this beautiful gift. Rodney, do you sell these like on the internet? Do you have like a website? You can mention the name of it. You may have to type in the dot for .com, but where'd I put it? Thought it was right. Where'd I put it? He sent me a beautiful knife, count knife. I thought it was right here. I grabbed my cable instead. I'm just showing it to somebody a little bit ago here. That's somewhere here. I showed it to y'all last night. Where to put it? Pretty close to hand somewhere. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time because the coffee crowd don't want me lollygagging here. But people, you really, really, really need to get your preps in order. You need to have cash. If you're going to run to the hills, you better have some caches out there, unless you're the best at knowing, unless you're better than Bear Grylls. That's a TV show, by the way. It's a TV show. And don't go trying to climb every mountain and crag and up the top of every tree like him. He's an expert climber. If you do what Bear Grylls does, you ain't gonna last long. Survivor Man was a better show in terms of things that made sense. But Bear Grylls is entertainment. Oh, here it is. It's close to the hand. That's what Rodney gave me. Rodney, if you got a website, show it. That's beautiful. This is a beautiful handcrafted piece there. Beautiful. Oh, look at the leather. Look at the steel in it. Wow, this thing is amazing. Anyway, like a nuclear hand grenade. Yeah, and we may be seeing stuff like that. I just gift them to those I like. Well, thank you, Rodney. I appreciate it. Salute. I know that was a lot of work. You might want to consider making that a trade. That is beautiful. Anyway, you want to prevent yourself from getting injured? Yes. Try not to get injured. That's why you don't want to do what Bear Grylls does. You break a leg, you're in trouble. You cut yourself out there in the wilderness, you're in trouble. Even a predator is very careful and choosy before they jump prey, because they don't want to get injured in that little enterprise, because if they do, it could cost them their lives. So being a predator does have its risk, because your prey might end you. Never mind about Bear Grylls, just grill a bear. Good point. But also, that's where the prey might get you. But that's a fair hunt. When you hunt something that could eat you, when you hunt to eat something that might eat you, there's a certain fairness in that, right? You better be really good if you're going after a bear. Bushcraft from Australians. There you go. There you go. Get you some books, because the grid may be going down real soon. Start getting you books on gardening and bushcrafting. Go to your bookstores, go online and order them. Get what you can while you can. Guys, we may only have a few weeks. We may only have a few weeks. If we're lucky, we might have 3 or 4 months. Canadian Prepper today was talking about an Israeli guy who studies Bible prophecy, and he thought we were down to 4 or 5 months. He thought it would be 4 or 5 months out. If you got 4 or 5 months and you got luxury, but we don't know we got that. My inside intel source, we may not have that luxury here, at least until things go like they did in Israel with Hamas. But that's not the end of Israel yet. And Israel, you know, biblically will survive, but not without great tribulation. Worse after it hits the fan. Let's see what Jason said here. Minimal or no hospitals. Yeah. Any there's hospitals where you be able to get to them. They'll be overrun by people, and all these things are going back. Best book on bushcrafts. I don't know what would be the best one. You know, when I was a kid, I was getting Gibbons books on things like stalking the wild asparagus and stuff like that. You know, I was studying that kind of stuff when I was a teenager. I've been making them for 5 years now. It's some work. Oh, yeah, I can tell you put a lot of time in that. Rafi Farber. Yeah, that's the one he was talking about. The Rafi Farber. That's exactly what he was talking about. So, I don't know, guys. You know, prophecies sometimes hard to interpret. Sometimes it's, you know, we don't have all knowledge, but we got some indicators. But one of the things we were told, it'd be a time when you might have to run for the hills. So that's the final bug out, you know. But to do that, you need to have stuff to bug out with, and putting caches out there along the way is a good thing to do. And those caches would be water filtration, food, means to defend yourself. It needs to be a mix, because you can't carry everything on you. You know, when you're out running around, your backpack, if you got a 200-pound backpack, you're going to be moving mighty slow and probably a big target. You know, you need to be packing like an Appalachian Trail hiker. Everything needs to be light, maybe 10% of your body weight, maybe even 5%. You shouldn't go crazy with what you throw in your backpack, unless it's going to be a motorized situation you're in. Now, you can put bigger things in your vehicle, but what you carry in your backpack needs to be somewhat limited. I caught a live. Woohoo! Hey, there you go, David Potter. Good to see you in here. Without ammo, you lose everything. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You got to be able to defend yourself. You've got to be able to defend, but also you need to be able to hunt silently too. That's the bang bangs are for defense. You need something else for hunting and trapping might be a good way to get your protein, but you need to come up with some silent things, like, you know, things going, crossbow, or a blowgun. You know, I did a video once upon a time on blowguns, like what, about 3 years ago. Michelle, I can't see us being here for another month. Yeah, I don't know, Michelle. It's right now, it's highly concerning. There's a large number of sleeper cells in Central Oregon for 2 decades. Yeah, they've been just waiting for orders, guys. But the people have been coming. A cell don't have to be big. We've got thousands and thousands. A cell could be 2 or 3 people. 2 or 3 people could take out a substation. Actually, 1 or 2 could take out a substation. I could, you know, what I know, I could take out a substation with 2 power tools. Yeah. That would be scary. I'm not even going to talk about it here, but you know, guys, it's too easy. It's too easy. We're at too much risk right now. This is why you've got to be ready. If you got a way to get water, you need to ask yourself, what's the basic essentials? Water. Everybody, you know, if you go by the rules of threes, you know, you can survive 3 minutes without air. Maybe not really, though. More like 2 if you're really good at holding your breath. So that might be why you want a face mask, not a face mask, but one of those gas masks. Seal your doors with tape and plastic. You know, if there's radiological events or biological events, you need to be able to get the water is 3 days. But if you're out in a hot desert, no, it might be hours. And you can't, water is heavy. You can't carry a lot of it. That's why you need filters. A lot of those filters, oh, this filter will filter 10 million gallons. No, if you're running pure water through it, that's absolutely purified and pristine, it might give you 300 gallons. Yeah, they overhype that stuff, guys. Get you several of them. And also, Sawyer straw doesn't take the viruses out. So you better be willing, you better be able to not just purify the water, but sanitize it. You might want to pre-clean it before you run it through your device. Watch my video, many ways to purify and sanitize water. You need to watch that video, guys. You need to watch my videos on nuclear survival. If you haven't watched them, and most of you have not, because I got 67,000 subscribers on here, 67,130 thereabouts, and only about some of the videos, I got 4,000 people watched them, some 2,000. So you need to pay attention to those right now. But you know, you got to get back to these rules I was talking about. You know, you can survive 30 days without food. Everybody talks about food all the time because we get hungry and we feel it. But when it gets tight, well, yeah, if you're 30 days out, you're going to be in bad shape. If you haven't eaten in 30 days, you are going to be weak. And you're not going to be able to defend yourself or even think rationally. So you don't want to go that long, but you can survive that long. Show made morning, Greg. Just woke up. Anything significant happened last night? Well, yeah. United States is talking about sending a second aircraft carrier to Israel, toward Israel. And we've got another aircraft carrier just done mopping up, you know, interdiction type training exercise over around Korea. Why would you do that? Because you might be expecting a war in that theater. Hezbollah has fired on Israel. Israel has countered by firing into Lebanon and into Syria. We've had Iran say, well, if you fire into Syria, we're going to get involved. That's happened. Israel has said that if Syria, I mean, if they get attacked by Hezbollah from Syria, they'll take out Damascus. If they take out Damascus, the whole Arab world is going, the whole Muslim world, excuse me, is liable to react. So this is escalating. It's escalating fast. What I'm talking to you about is how it can affect you here. And first and foremost thing I'm worried about is sleeper cells and rogue individuals who are acting out because their emotions have been fanned to an inferno, and they just don't know what else to do. They have been gotten inside. What I just said was that evil uses hatred to promote evil. The hatred fans it. That's where evil comes from. It's, you know, and that was the one thing I was picking on with Star Wars, is that, you know, that's what they said. You know, how they get people to turn to the dark side of the force was by making them mad, making them angry. and it works. You know, it provokes people to do things they should not ought to do. Storing water and your 7,000 feet expands 10%. My tanks are full in the winter, yeah, because it gets cold. You're right. So know how to collect rainwater. Ladies, get your hidden knives on your body. There you go, winning streak. Just right, perfect. So you got to be able to defend yourself. You got to be able to have the food and pre-position some things in areas where you think you're probably going to go. It's a good deal to your bug out location. And your backup might be literally some spots out in the hills somewhere. You can do some hiking. Hiking's good for you and physically, and it's good for your soul to get out in nature. So while you're out hiking around, you might start looking, where can I hide something where I will remember where it's at? So those are important things. Evasion is important. Why take the risk of injuring yourself right off the bat to confront something when you can pull away and come back another day? Evasion is a critical technique taught by the military, actually. And sometimes, especially if you're outnumbered, and these guys come through in large numbers, you're often going to be outnumbered. Magnifying glass. I have a magnifying glass in every bug out bag I got. I keep magnifying glasses around all over the place. I got a bunch of them because one, as you get older, it may help you to see things. And two, yes, it's a good way to start a fire as long as the sun is shining. Magnifying glasses and get you a bunch of lighters, big lighters, but also get you some of those ferrous rods with the magnesium. So you can strike the ferrous and the magnesium will ignite, make you some balls, cotton balls soaked in paraffin and Vaseline or something. Full Spectrum Survival just did a video on that. You might check that out. So I'll just shout out for him. Know the laws in your state before putting the knife on you. But yeah, that's important too. You don't want to go to jail. You go to jail, they're going to take everything you got. And then that's not a good place to be when it hits the fan. It's not a good place to be, point blank. So just bear all that in mind. You got to know your laws. That's why I said if you've got a license to carry. If you've got it's permissible to carry certain things in certain areas and times, but there's also lots of places that's got limitations on how long these things are. Of course, when it really hits a fan, the enforcement is probably going to be nil. But until then, that's not the case. So just bear that in mind. Road rage, 1969. I'm angry, but I'm not going to burn down any towns or business. Yeah, and that's the way we conservatives typically are. That's the way people in the MAGA crowd really are. We don't want to incite anything, although we get accused of it, right? 5 pounds of fat wood. There you go, Chewy. And sawdust. That would be really easy to ignite. What's fat wood? I always heard it called rich pine when I was growing up. Only when I became a prepper did I first hear the word fat wood. What? Fat wood? What's that? Oh, rich pine. Okay. It's the core of like a pine tree or certain trees that are heavy in rosin and oils. That stuff will burn, guys. That's good to have. And that might be another good thing to put out in cache. Fake rocks filled with your right eye in my yard. Oh, be careful. All those fake rocks are pretty obvious too. So make sure that it blends in where it's at, but you're able to know that rock from a real one. There, I was moving supplies from a shed to my house, and the magnifying glass I had on the seat started burning the truck. Oh my God. Yeah, that's the risk. You got to be careful. Anything that start a fire, you got to be careful with it, guys. It's easy to have survival, evasion, escape. Best book I have. There you go, Matt. That's important stuff. That's what we're talking about here. With a lot of sap. Yeah. Florida, one day at a time. Hey, JoJo. So these are all important skills. You need to. You got a few weeks. Hey, it's not too cold yet. Go out on a camping trip. Go on a hiking trip. Survey your area. Know what's available. Know where to get water in your area. Know where you'd bug out to. Get together with the family. Practice as a family or with your friends. But get with your family and talk about plans. Start keeping your gas tank topped off. Where it goes down, you may not get no more. Right now is the best time to consider buying prepping supplies because the grid goes down, you aren't getting any more seeds, whatever you need to have to get through. What prepping supplies should you have? Well, your first priority should be the things that you use every day. What do you use? Will it be available? How will you get it? So keep all these things in mind. So bear in mind that, you know, if you live here in the Southeast and this stuff's spreading all over the country, there's a weed that's taking over the country. I did a video. I said, eat the weed that's eating America. I called it the number one survival food or something. I forget what I called that video. But the subtitle is Eat the Weed That's Eating America. And it was kudzu. Everything about the kudzu is edible, including the roots. The roots have starches in them. They're good for you. The leaves, it's in the bean family. You can eat flowers. You can make jellies out of flowers. The only thing you can't eat with the kudzu is the woody part of the vine. But you can strip the outer bark off, and the inner bark is edible, as is the inner bark in most pine trees. If you're in the forest, you might have a lot edible. Even out in the desert, you can, where my other property is, there's prickly pears all over the place. You can eat the prickly pear, well, after you get all the needles off very carefully. Yeah, make sure you clean it real good. The fruits on them are edible. So there's a lot. Let's see, Keith, 430 in Sholo. Man, I was paying $4.99 when I was out there. That's good. Yeah, but here I'm paying $3.15 for gas now. Yeah, it was $4.99. So you've had the gas price went down, but it's probably about to go up again. Especially all this tension. I hear the oil's going back up. If we had a war and the Persian Gulf gets shut down, the Strait of Hormuz gets shut down, or if we follow the advice of Senator Lindsey Graham, excuse me, the widow of Senator John McCain, Lindsey Graham, he's saying that we ought to be attacking the oil refineries in Iran. Yeah, boy, that'll really make the price of oil go up on it. Natural gas is about to be a catastrophe in Europe and the Mideast because Israel, because of, you know, they got derricks out in the Mediterranean that's just on the other side or in the area of the Strait of the Gaza Strip, excuse me, and they've shut those down. So that's natural gas that was typically going to Egypt and other countries down there. Those countries are going to be without natural gas. We just had a natural gas pipeline destroyed that goes between I believe it's Finland or Sweden, one of the Nordic countries, and down to Estonia. Guys, Europe's going to have a bigger natural gas problem. Now it's been blamed on Russia. That's a NATO asset. You see how things are escalating? Did Russia attack NATO property? Did NATO through the United States attack Russian property prior to that with the Nord Stream pipeline? Things are escalating right now. They're escalating, and the pace of the escalation is picking up. It's going faster and faster. You need to pay some attention to the news. And that's, you know, or at least channels like this. Most of the stuff though you see on the news is propaganda. 95% of everything you see out there is propaganda. What's on the news or website, whatever. Propaganda is heavy. You got to be able to sift through it. It's important to see what they're saying, but then you got to weigh it against everything else. So that's the important thing. $10 gallon to support the war front, comrade. Well, that may be what's coming there, Eddie. Dryer lint. Yeah, dryer lint might be a good way to start a fire. You may want to heat it up a little bit. You can also make charcoal. You can take I have one right here. I have one close by. You can take these little tins, like, oh, here we go. I save these. These are good for making charcoal. Now, most channels will show you putting a hole in them, putting cloth in it, and putting it on the coals of a fire and letting it burn, fuel rich inside, until it carbonizes. But actually, there's enough cracks in here, you don't actually have to put a hole in it. It'll still get air, even through these little holes right here. It'll get enough air in there to char it. So you don't actually have to put a hole in it. These are also good for, some people use these to put little fishing kits and other little survival items. These are good little ways to package a lot of stuff. And now, like I say, it's not tight. As a Faraday cage, it's pretty loose because it does have the holes in. But if you put something in the insulator, like some small electronic device, put it in a metal can like this and wrap it in tinfoil, it might be good. But now there's also a lot of bigger metal cans, like stuff that cookies and stuff come in and for Christmas and Thanksgiving, those big tins. Those are good for putting a lot of your devices in. And you can take that and put it on a block of wood in a garbage can, put that on there, and then seal that, lid on, seal that with some aluminized tape, and you got a really good Faraday cage, guys, real cheap. Moose candle works, but stinks. All right, get the Babylon. Oh, wow, okay. Boondock, that's a good name. Can use your tobacco tins. That's right, tobacco tins work. I don't know what a moose candle is. Barefoot AK in AK, so I guess you're in Alaska. Now, that's a funny place to be going barefooted, at least in the wintertime. Ducking out is the last resort. You need skills. You need means of self-defense, and it's best if you pre-position caches. It's the last resort, but it may come to pass. You may have no choice at some point in time. Bugging in is best, and if you're living in your bug out location, you're ahead. And that's what I might be doing in the not too distant future. Arizona's starting to call louder to me with all this stuff going on. If you drive a semi truck, everything is a bug out situation if the EMP happens. Yeah, Mary drives a semi truck. I've seen her truck. How you doing, Mary? How's Jason doing? Yes, Mary does drive a truck. I've seen her truck. I've seen her drive it. Just a little piece. Pull out of the driveway anyway. So know your local wild berries. That's important. Yeah, you know which ones you can eat and which ones you can't. Lard does make a great candle. Even Crisco. Crisco's not lard. Crisco's like veggie. But I've seen off-road wheelchairs. Now there's an idea. So he's going, I want one souped up. If I ever get one. I'm Irish Cherokee. I would survive. Okay, David. Well, ancestry isn't the key thing unless you were brought up with the right attitudes. It includes getting out and practicing. What happens to the suburbs and millions of New York cities? It's going to be, and that's something I've talked about. I've said it's going to be like kicking a fire ant nest. All these people in the cities are going to pour out and fan out. And if you're in their range, you're going to look like long pork to them. Don't be the long pork. Get away from the cities. Don't live in the cities or even close to them. Yeah, that's true, Rick. Old microwaves. But then again, in the long term, all your electronic devices you manage to save and survive. Well, the cell phone networks are going to go down. Most likely, they will be down. Especially the grid's down there, are powered, and some of them have generators that might keep them going for a while. But the entire network's going to be at risk. The network centers, the servers, and all that will be down. So at some point, I am a woman, I will survive. There you go, Wendy. I heard that song. So, guys, there's a lot to get ready for, a lot to think about right now. I'm going to show y'all some articles real quick. I've already been on here we've been going for 58 minutes. We're already getting too long. I'm going to show you a couple of little quick articles. I encourage everybody to go watch the beginning of my last video, at least the first 30 minutes of it. We got 312 in the room. That's great. That's great. Starting out, text may work for a while. Well, as long as there's a network. Yeah. Also remember, when you have a catastrophe, the traffic on the network spikes, and getting access to even a working network is hard. There's been a couple times we had tornadoes come through this area, and I was at home, and I tried to contact to see if I still had a house. Try to get through to family and fire department and stuff like that. It would take 2 to 3 hours to get through. 2 to 3 hours, because everybody is calling that area. All the switching networks are loaded. So you can expect that in a situation like this. So if you're planning with your family when it goes down, is you're going to call them, might not work. You better have some other. Now that brings up a good point. You better have some other things that will key you meeting together at a rendezvous point. Whatever rendezvous point you choose. Greg, who is doing your hair lately? Just me. Just me. Well, it's hot. I keep it tied up with a piece of twine. Actually, we got a little hair, what do we call them? I keep it tied up when it's hot. It's hot. No, but otherwise I let it down a lot, but not always. I keep my pants tied up with a piece of twine. Got a watermelon growing on the vine. I ain't gonna sing the rest of that song. Klaus says you should eat nothing and be happy. Yeah, that's what they want. You know, they think there's too many of us. You know, look at Deagle. What was Deagle saying where our population will be in 2025? They didn't say it was going to happen in 2025. What's going to happen in 2024, the end of 2023? I don't know, my friends. Maybe Deagle was just blowing smoke. Let's hope that's the case. Or maybe it was somebody's dream. Get a ham license. That's an idea. Hams are good at keeping power to their systems and having backups and Faraday cages. So the ham people will be talking. There will be people on ham radio for quite a while, but eventually all your electrical devices will wear out. As long as they last, they will give you some advantage. I mean, it's a lot faster to use an impact drill than it is a handheld screwdriver, right? So if you got a lot of stuff to build and build in a hurry, it gives you an advantage. And those advantages might be worthwhile. A chainsaw might do stuff faster than a crosscut saw. But all these things require maintenance. They all break down. And if you don't have the stores and shops to go to get replacement parts, yeah, that's all a limited life situation. So it kind of bugs me when preppers only focus on saving electronics. That's the last thing you ought to consider. You ought to consider it. But the first thing you need to consider is safety, security. Yeah, that's probably the top consideration. Water, shelter. Yeah, that's your thing. You don't survive 3 hours if you're exposed to the elements. Shelter, clothing. Now, if it's summertime and you're bugging out, you carrying a lot of heavy coats is going to be problematic. That's another thing you might consider for cache areas. Is winter clothing, summer clothing, whatever, off-season something or another, fishing supplies, trapping supplies. These are all things you might want to put out in cache points. And another reason to have a cache is because you might have to do evasion. Even in your bug out, as you're bugging in, and there's suddenly dozens of guys trying to beat your door down. Actually, you need to get out before they try to beat your door down, because then they may be all around your house. You may not be able to get out unless you got a really good hiding place. But then come in your house and they're going to stay in it for a couple of weeks. Hiding for 2 weeks might be a tough proposition. But you know, while they get fat off of eating your food and drunk and sleepy and they go to sleep, you might slip out. But if you don't have all your stuff in your cupboard or in your back room or in your basement, you got some stuff cached out in your yard or somewhere else, then you can come back and dig it up later. Once the food runs out in your house, they're going to move on. They're going to leave. Evasion. It's got to be a part of your consideration. Even if you're Yosemite Sam and nobody can take you. Well, a big group sure can. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful, my friends. Are you trained in military tactical operations? Some of these people are. They're trained and they practice. You need to, whatever means of self-defense you get, you need to practice with it. It's your hands. The hands against things that travel a good distance, well, don't give you an advantage. But now in close quarters, one of these might be better than something that goes bang bang. FEMA is the only branch of the government that doesn't BS. Now, there is some good people over in FEMA. You know, there's actually, one time, I don't know what the case is now, there's a lot of Alabamians in FEMA. So, all right, guys. Don't do music or loud TV. Oh, listen, if you're out on maneuvers, unless you're trying to scare a bear off, keep your mouth shut. Be quiet. You're with a group, learn hand signals. Come up with your hand signals to motion to each other and communicate that way. You don't want to give your position away. That's tactical maneuvers. I'd covered that in one of my videos. I talked about that. Ghillie suit. Yeah, you might need a ghillie suit. They're hot. That might be something else to consider for a cache, ghillie suit. Ghillie suits are best for the people that like to go snipe hunting, if you know what I mean. And I'm not really talking about snipes, if you get the gist of it. So VHF marine radios are good for localized comms. Oh yeah, that's true. Washing board to clean your clothes. There you go. Don't want to smell during the apocalypse. There you go. That's true. But you also do want to be able to keep mosquitoes away. So you might have to put mud on yourself because you're going to run out of all that stuff you buy in the store. Great for close quarters fighting. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce that. So, I mean, the hydrating foods, good for you. Hey, Sparky's Run. Thank you, GG and chat. It's the super essential stuff and great idea. Salute to you. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of channels talking about things like this right now. And they all got their own, different spin on it. So it might be important to sample some of these other prepping channels, what they're talking about. There's a lot of things to consider. It would take, I'd be on here for days if I really had to go through everything. And we don't have days to go through it, and you don't have days to watch it all, but just pay attention, guys. You need to be practicing. I'm going to show you some articles real fast here, kind of buttress what I'm saying. And I think I need to end this video. We've been going too long. Sweep the leg. Oh yeah, there are certain techniques. Yeah, I remember the roundhouse kick. That's good for long distance out arm action, but not close in. Yeah, how do you deal with somebody that's doing karate? Body slam them. Most of those guys can't handle that. All righty, guys. Just drive it home. This is another article that makes the cases I was making last night, this morning, whatever. Border Patrol agents have stopped thousands of special interest aliens from the Mideast at the southern border since 2021. Thousands from the Mideast. That's the ones they stopped. Most of them they'd released and let back into the country. They didn't say they turned them loose. It's a catch and release program. But what's the percentage of people they actually intercept and catch? If you think that percentage is greater than 50%, put a 6 in the chat room. If you think it's less, put a 7. See what y'all think. If you think it's less than 50%, put a 7. If you think that the number they catch, if you think the number they catch is greater than 50%, put a 6. See what y'all think. If I got that right. If you have to fight for your life, fight dirty. Oh yeah, throw sand in their eyes. Maybe carry some with you. So let's see here. Now this drives home what I was talking about. This may be the best article that really drives home what I was talking about. Amid growing Hezbollah beachhead, where in Venezuela? Who? What group? Hezbollah beachhead. I should have started out with this. McCarthy warns of danger in the southern border. Well, no kidding. Once he suddenly woke up and started talking about things that matter. Did he have to get voted out to do that? How come this whole article is not showing? There's usually a show it, but it's not here. Oh, then we subscribe. Now, I saw it earlier. Hezbollah, I told y'all this last night. Hezbollah is operating big time in Venezuela. How many Venezuelans got a work visa in the United States? 500,000. 500,000 Venezuelans got work visas. It's not just Hezbollah. This guy here, president of Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, president of Venezuela, he opened up the prison doors and sent them north to the United States. fighting tactics are millennia old. That's right, but most people aren't practicing them, Larry. Most people are not practicing them. But you can bet the people who've been training with Hezbollah are leaked. Thousands of Middle Eastern illegal immigrants tried crossing the border since 2021. Who sworn in 2021? I don't know, guys. What do y'all think? Thousands. Hundreds could have devastating, dozens could devastate our country. Dozens. They don't take thousands. I'm sure they got critical infrastructure already identified. Why did Israel think a border fence would protect it from an army of terrorists? You see that fence? They went through it. That fence is more substantial than the fences you find around army bases. They're usually just chain link with a little bit of barbed wire on top, not concertina wire. That's a pretty hefty fence. You're not going to find a fence that heavy around Fort Hood. What's going to happen when the drug cartel storm with their Hezbollah buddies go storm Fort Hood? Who's there to defend it? Well, you got the gate guards with their little bitty six bangers on their hips. They're not going to last long against the force like that. All right, guys, this is where it's really driving home. America must do what to Iran if Hezbollah strikes Israel? Well, guess what? Hezbollah is stricken Israel. It's pure fear. Hezbollah fires missile into Israel amid concerns of larger conflict brewing. I think that went to, they actually fired into Tel Aviv. But, you know, they've been firing a lot of stuff along the borders and the Golan Heights, and that's been the typical area targeted. Israel fires on Syria in response to strikes from within its territory. So they've already hit back. That's what Iran said would prompt them. And it breaks out on Israel's northern, I'm not even saying the word. I'm trying to avoid the algorithms here. Breaks out on Israel's northern border as war rages in south in Israel. Two fronts now. Guys, when I'm talking about your caches, let me just put it in. The unthinkable is happening. No kidding, guys. The unthinkable is happening. You can still save 25% off. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 3 meals a day for 3 months here, guys. For only $5.97. Stuff that lasts 25 years. You can bury these buckets inside they're sealed. Inside these sealed buckets is sealed pouches. And you can take these pouches out and put them in your bug out bag. So this is a good way to have some long-term food storage. If you can't afford that, you might consider the 2-week. And if you're not into that, go up here and go to prepwithgreg.com. You can also click on the My Page of Supply and go and find lots of other prepping supplies or other food options, including number 10 cans if that's what you want. Just order. Well, thank you, Startled Mouse. Hope you went through prepwithgreg.com. So if you ordered, please go to prepwithgreg.com. Dogweed keeps mosquitoes away. That and beauty berries do too, guys. I covered that in a video once upon a time. U.S. considering sending second naval aircraft carrier strike group. I kid you not, guys. And here is the latest positions right there. They're all around the hot spots. So here, 2 right here around the Persian Gulf and Iran area. The Gerald R. Ford, the most powerful, largest warship on the planet with this entire complement of the strike group with several ships and submarines. A lot of aircraft up here. Now, I don't think this guy's going to come around in here. Where's the other one coming from? I don't think these are going to be taking off duty. You think these are going to be taking off duty with everything going on with China and North Korea? I doubt it. I think all these are going to stay in place. Now, my suspicion is they're going to bring another one into the theater. Taliban wants to go through Syria as well. Yeah, they've already said it, and In the past, those countries might not have gave them entry, but once Israel starts hitting Gaza even harder, they'll probably do it. And that's where this will escalate, guys. Planes have already taken off. U.S. sends Israel air defense munitions after Hamas attack. That's going to go really well with those sleeper cells sitting over here. U.S. puts special operations troops on alert for potential hostage rescue. Yeah. Israeli defense minister tells troops all restraints are lifted in the Gaza offensive. All restraints, no restraints. Guys, that's ominous. And that is really going to incite the other side too. Israel will finish it now. He issues channeling warning to Hamas. If Israel can find evidence that Iran has a role in this attack, it would have a casus belli, however you say that. The Arab world would understand. Well, I don't, now see, this is where I take difference. I don't think they're going to appreciate it. At least, what do y'all think? If you think the Arab world is going to say, that's okay, no problem, put a 9 in the chat room. If you think that they're going to have an issue with this, put a 10 in the chat room. So what y'all think about that? If you think they're going to take issue with that, put a 10 in the chat room. What you're talking about is Israel striking Iran. Saudi Arabia might stay somewhat quiet about it, or at least not take action over it, but I don't know, guys. Now, this is an Iranian website. The author is the Iranian International Newsroom. Interesting how they don't prescribe it to an individual. And Iran is admitting they have proxies in Yemen, Iraq, and that they threaten the U.S. over support for Israel. And these proxies include? Well, it includes the Houthi movement in Yemen. It includes Hezbollah and a lot of others. So apparently so what they're saying here is if the United States will be targeted. If they intervene, talking about the United States, we will intervene. If the Americans intervene openly in this conflict, we will consider all American targets legitimate and will not hesitate to target it. Guys, this is straight from the horse's mouth. This isn't Greg Allison just sitting up here and going blah, 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 blah. Maybe I do sometimes, but guys, straight from the horse's mouth. And who's it talking about? Their proxies. Who's their proxies? Hezbollah and others. And what I would tell you, they got sleeper cells in this country. And where they come from, a lot of them are crossing our border from places like like Venezuela, which has big Hezbollah training camps, which I just showed you the article on that. Oh, yeah. Here is John McCain's wife, John McCain's widow, Lindsey Graham, saying that Joe Biden threatens, or should threaten the oil infrastructure. And he said, we'll put you out of business. Yeah, well, that's going to cause some blowback. To Iran's delight, the attack on Israel will also knock Saudi's move off course. So I'm telling you, they probably already accomplished their main objective in breaking the budding alliance between Saudi Arabia and Israel. But here's the crazy thing, guys. Israel had warnings from no less than Egypt. Something big's about to happen. Oh, yeah, but now, see, Israel's talking about bombing the aid trucks going into Gaza Strip, even from Israel, from Egypt. So if they're actually attack Egyptian trucks, what's Egypt going to do? Egypt's been at peace with Israel ever since Peanut Man Jimmy Carter got Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin to sign a peace deal back in 1978, I believe it was. Now, everybody in Gaza don't go along with what Hamas is doing. But this action, I would say, is heinous. Now, some in Gaza are saying it's un-Islamic. But where does this come from? It comes from that hatred I was talking about, guys. That's what motivates people to do such heinous things. It's the hatred. Now, hatred's been fanned by a lot of events, but two wrongs don't make a right. So they don't have the right to go out and target children, women, old people. But look here, this is what's got the Israelis fans of hatred, flames of hatred fan. I'm not even going to enunciate this stuff. It's just too heinous to talk about. Yeah, it's just too heinous to even talk about. These are news articles. Oh, yeah, and all these news articles got a lot of advertising on them. So, yeah, I don't know why this platform wants to beat on me. Guys, it don't get more heinous than this. It don't get more heinous than that. But then again, Israel will respond. And they're not going to be nice either. Israel's already cutting the food and water from Gaza. So things are going to get fever pitch. Israel blows its troops at the border. You got 300,000 out there. Israel strikes over 2,000 Gazan targets ahead of expected counter invasion. Now you soften the target up before you move in. Israel faces booby trap tunnels and guerrilla warfare if it invades Gaza. It's not going to be a cakewalk. What I tell you the other night, it's going to be like God. It's going to be like Bakhmut. It's going to be horrendous. Gaza decimated by Israeli airstrikes overnight. Yeah, buildings flattened, and it's going to get worse. It'll go flatter. Israeli Hamas war live. U.S., Israel, and Egypt discussing safe passage for Gazan civilians to come out. How's that going to work out? How they get so many out? I don't know. They're talking a bunch of people. Most of the people are under 18. And you're talking population. Some years ago, it was listed in Wikipedia as being 2,300,000. It's probably 2.5 million now or more. Anyway, Israel not the only place things are happening. This is that aircraft carrier doing the interdiction practices and North Korea's sea-based threats to deal with those. And UK intelligence reveals how Russia's alliance with Iran strengthened in recent years. So, yeah, guys, this is beginning to develop into perhaps a full-up world war. And, of course, Russia's still banging on Ukraine. Ukraine's banging back on them. Still a slugfest. It's not abated. It's still going full tilt. You're just not hearing about it because everybody's got their eyes on Israel. And guys, you got to pay attention. I think this article is optimistic. U.S. debt will become unsustainable and trigger a default in about 20 years if our government stays on the current path. We're about to spend much more money on war. If you think the United States can last 20 years with our spending spree, if you think that's good and will work, vote a 13. I want to see you vote 13. If you think this is good, if you think that things are worse and we won't last 20 years, vote a 12 in the chat room. The warnings, yeah, there's just too many things going on, guys. Our economy, the state of our government, everything is coming apart all at once. Maybe that's why they like to see some warfare. I don't know, guys. I highly encourage you to consider something that works outside the world of Bitcoins and US dollar. US dollar may become worthless if the BRICS have their way. You got to remember the whole purpose of the BRICS is an economic war against the United States. Everybody's voting 12. I don't see a lot of faith and confidence that this spending is going to do us any good. It's already creating inflation. 12 and fast, says Rectos. U.S. ain't going to last 20 years, though. There you go, Devin. Gold standard. Yeah, consider the cool thing about this source here, you go to defythegrid.com, defythegrid.com. You can get bullion, coins, rounds, silver, platinum, and gold. It's all here. And the coolest thing is they got, unless they're gold backs, the coolest thing is they got a deal that they'll meet it or beat it if you find a better price anywhere else. And I like the gold backs. Yeah, you don't have to be from Wyoming to use a Wyoming gold back or Utah to use a Utah gold back. For example, I got this one here. This is what state is this? This is a Wyoming, but no matter where you go, it's 1/1000th of a troy ounce of gold. It's pure gold, guys. But it's in a minute amount that's fungible and spendable. You can put it in your wallet, and that's the value of something you can get a 12-pack of eggs or a loaf of bread with. Kind of hard to do with gold bars. That's why I like the gold backs, because they got, it's like money. And you can do the same thing kind of sort of with junk silver. So there's different options out there, guys, to consider. Just to recap from this morning, you know, for those that hadn't seen it, this is something I've been telling you guys for a long time. Attack on 9 substations to take down the grid. Iran's already said they could have 20 targeted at least for starters. This is talking about the terrorist cells of Iranian cells here in the United States. Hezbollah's American sleeper cells, in case you don't believe they're here. They're already in our power grid. They got hacking software in our power grid. They found camps. I'm just going to show these real fast. You don't think we got issues? I'm just popping these. I talked about these at length the other night. If y'all need me to, I'll go back over them in another video. I might should do a dedicated video where this is all I talk about, but since I already covered it, I don't like to repeat myself, except for a lot of people didn't see it just because that video was so long. We're getting long here too. We've already gone 86 minutes. That's probably too long. I think it's pretty unsustainable. I think you're right. Stop the share. So I'm going to glance at a few. I'm not going to read everything because we really need to go. This video is too long for the coffee club crowd. That's the problem when I do the live videos, that they tend to go long. So, hey, Sparky's Run, $10. Thank you, GG in chat. This was super essential stuff and great ideas. So I'll let you, Sparky's Run. Oh, TVs can monitor VHF. Yeah, there's a lot of TVs that have a VHF receiver on them, the old ones. UHF was the old system. Alien, says Eddie. Well, I'm talking about non-Americans. Oh, accidentally pinned a message. Oh, well. As you scroll, odd things happen. Wait a minute. What the heck? Unpin. All right. When bugging out, you will be ambushed. Yeah, that's a big risk, but snipers can get you when you're at home too. And when you're going out to your garden or doing your daily routine, it may be important not to have a daily routine. Do stuff off schedule. Don't be predictable. That's another thing. Don't be predictable. If everybody knows what you're going to do, it makes you easy to target. And that's another reason to have a group, a survival tribe. If you got two squad, if you got a squad has 2 teams in it. If you take a squad and break it down into 2 teams, they can advance on a sniper. You can flesh that sniper out. And I did show you that in one of my videos about surviving EMP. I did a video on that where I even covered how that's done. At least as best as you can do from a presentation. Best way to do it is practice it. Get out in the field. We did that in the Army. We practiced that when I was in basic training. All right. Nathan says, we already own nothing and we're happy. we buy a house and we have to keep paying the government. Yeah. Your taxes and all that. You got a point. Anyway. All right, we've been 89 minutes. So we're an hour and a half. I think that's long enough. We're going to skip with a lot of things we normally do. So we'll keep this short for the shorter. This still isn't short or short enough, but shorter for the Coffee Club morning watchers. I do have coffee in here. This is a family cup. Got some of my grandbabies that are in Texas on here. That's what this cup shows is some of my grandbabies. All right, guys, it's my oldest daughter's kids. Make sure to add a sticky note to your SOS rations. There you go. That's an idea. We got 300 in the room. All righty. I'm glad to see so many here. That's a good attendance. Silver, honey for the Woes. Yeah, silver is antimicrobial. Copper is, but silver is better for that. And so, but honey, big time. Honey is really good for that. All right, guys, just keep these things in mind. Keep them in mind, especially when the antibiotics run out. That's all good stuff to have. Also, oil of oregano is an antiviral and antimicrobial. So keep that in mind. Showing on how you see you on Facebook, your Facebook friends. Okay. All right, guys. Keep these things in mind, guys. Keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Be super aware. Prep like your life depends on it. Prep like there's no tomorrow. There may not be. But let's hope and pray there will be. So prep and pray that we live another day. Hey, Greg, do you still breed and sell worms? Yeah. Go to greengregs.com. But I'm about to head to Arizona again, so I may shut that down for a couple of weeks or may delay shipments for a couple of weeks. I'm about to go to Arizona again, probably weekend after next, maybe. Just have to see. Reishi mushroom has water-based antibiotic. Well, that's good to know. You make it, yeah. Silver actually comes in some products that you get prescriptions for. And a lot of people do. A lot of people use the colloidal silver. Some people drink it. Some put it on. You got to be careful with that. I did know a lady who looked silver. She turned blue. So be careful. But she was happy. She said it saved her life. That's what she said. I don't know. You know, just remember, you know, officially you're supposed to see your doctor about the use of all these things. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a medical expert. So go to your experts. I got to put these disclaimers out there, or I can be hauled off somewhere and shackled. Oh, the eclipse. No, I'm going to miss the eclipse. That's this weekend. Yeah, if I was out there, that's where the eclipse is going through. I wish I was out there this weekend, but I don't think I can get loose this weekend to get out there for that. Unfortunately, at one time I thought I might be able to get back out there, but no, my other trip, first trip took too long. Proudly promoting global warming. There you go, guys. That's what we do. Proudly promote global warming. That's one of the best prepper supplies you can buy is worms, guys. So, because you know, you take your waste and turn it into the best fertilizer you ever had. Old Man of the Woods is good to eat. Okay. Lee just went live. Well, good for him. All right, folks. Super chatters, thank you a lot. Appreciate it, super chatters. I really heartily thank you because this platform has been picking on me lately. So y'all make a big difference for me. Also, guys, I want to thank all the mods, especially those of you who have been sharing links in here. Go to survivaltribenetwork.org. Wild paid for that out of her pocket. That's a resource for you guys. You need to join. You need to find people in your area and start forming groups. Do it like there's not a tomorrow now. Don't waste any more time, guys. When it comes to your preps, don't waste any time anymore. Don't procrastinate. The time for procrastination is over. The fat lady is on the stage in the opera, and she's almost done singing. If you've been playing musical chairs, the music's about to stop, it looks like. That's the way it looks, guys. Things are getting critical. consider that. That's why they called them blue bloods. They drank silver. Well, that's interesting. Anyway, I would rather worms than ants. There you go, Mary. So, the way to keep ants and insects out of your worm beds, well, diatomaceous earth might work, but I like lime because bugs like a acidic environment. So I try to keep my worm beds neutral. Anyway, survivaltribenetwork.com. There you go. And you can also find our Freedom Restoration Foundation on Facebook and MeWe. All right, folks. Once again, thank you, Super Chatters. Thank you, mods. Thank each and every one of you for coming in here and watching. Thank all you people for chatting. Be sure to share my videos. Please share them. Please share them. Share them widely. All you got to do is hit the share button below, and it gives you options for how to share it. So share them often and wide. Go in and leave comments in the videos. Comment somebody else's comments and help me out. You know, we've had over 300 people in the room. Now we got 272. We only got 273 thumbs up. We probably had over 1,000, 1,500 people through this chat tonight. So please hit the thumbs up on your way out. Silver goblets. Yeah, silver goblets. All right. So who's Janet? Oh, yeah, Colorado Jan. That's right. Colorado Jan has been very, very supportive. Appreciate her. She likes to mail me super chats. So, silver nitrate, baby's eyes for at birth for infections. Good to see you, Matterman, Jacob, Michelle. Like I said, I want to thank all of you for being here. You're awesome. You are awesome people. You're the salt of the earth. Good folks. Pray tonight. I'm not going to do a prayer session because we got to go. New Days is she's had the bug and it's causing her a lot of joint pain. Pray for her, please. Pray for Judy Dow. Pray for Granny Lana. Where's Granny at? Pray for Granny and her granddaughter Kaylee, Randy Bly. There's a lot of folks in our community that need some prayers right now. Pray for the world. Pray for the innocent people. Pray for the kids. And pray that, here's what I worry about. I always tell you, pray that saner heads will prevail, level heads, but the sanity and the levelness of the heads goes out when the emotions get flamed up. When the hatred gets flamed up, sanity goes out the window. Level-headedness goes out the window. People start reacting based on visceral emotions. Hey, Derringer, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that very much. Just remember that. And that's why we got to be careful. That's why you got to keep your eyes wide open, head on the swivel. But like I always tell you too, the best way to combat hate is with love. Just like light dispels dark. See my stage lights. Love dispels hate. So go out and shine your love light in the world. Once again, eyes wide open and head on a swivel more than ever. Thank everybody for being here, and to one and all, a good night.